Karath, a skilled alien assassin from the planet Zarnax, was known across the galaxy for his deadly efficiency. He had taken down targets in every corner of the universe, but today's mission felt different. His target was a human named Alex, a creature he had only heard about in whispers. According to reports, Alex had a strange talent for taming the fiercest animals. This intrigued Karath, but it also filled him with a strange sense of unease. As he prepared for the hunt, Karath checked his gear. His weapon, a sleek blaster, hummed softly, ready to fire. He looked into the reflection of his shiny armor and took a deep breath. The Zarnaxian had always felt confident before a mission, but today, a knot twisted in his stomach. Maybe it was the stories he had heard about humans, how they were unpredictable, emotional, and worst of all, capable of surprising strength. Karath's ship landed silently on the edge of a lush, green forest on a distant planet. He stepped out, his eyes scanning the area. The air was thick with the scent of alien flowers and strange creatures. His mission was to locate Alex and eliminate him before he could become a threat to Zarnax. Karath moved quietly, his training kicking in. He had to stay focused. Distractions could cost him his life. As he crept through the dense underbrush, Karath couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. The trees loomed overhead, their leaves whispering secrets in the wind. Suddenly, he heard a rustle nearby. He froze, instinctively reaching for his blaster. Was it Alex? Or one of the deadly creatures he had been warned about? Just then, Karath caught a glimpse of movement. He peered through the foliage and saw a human figure. It was Alex, but he wasn't alone. Around him were massive, terrifying predators, creatures that could rip a Zarnaxian apart in seconds. Karath's heart raced as he watched Alex kneel beside one of the apex predators, a creature with razor-sharp teeth and glowing eyes. The human was smiling, his hand gently stroking the beast's fur. Karath's confusion grew. This was not what he had expected. Instead of fear, Alex showed affection. The predator nuzzled him, purring like a massive cat. Karath felt a strange pull in his chest. Could it be possible that a human could bond with such a terrifying creature? As he continued to observe, Karath noticed more predators gathering around Alex, all of them behaving like playful puppies. The sight was so shocking that he lowered his blaster, unable to comprehend what he was seeing. He had always been told that humans were weak and fragile, but this one was something different. With every passing moment, Karath felt a mixture of fear and admiration. The stories of humans being reckless and chaotic seemed to fade away. Instead, he saw bravery and kindness in Alex's actions. The assassin's heart pounded, not just with the thrill of the hunt, but with a new emotion he couldn't identify. Suddenly, Karath realized he was at a crossroads. He had trained his whole life to be a killer, but now he was face to face with something that challenged everything he knew. Could he really pull the trigger? Just as he prepared to move, a sharp pain shot through his chest. Karath stumbled back, clutching his heart. Panic washed over him. Was this fear? Was he actually afraid of a human? The world around him began to blur, and he collapsed to the ground, his blaster slipping from his grasp. As darkness closed in, Karath could only think about the strange human and the bond he shared with the apex predators. This was not how he had imagined the hunt would end. As the sun rose high in the sky, its rays pierced through the dense canopy of the alien forest. The birds sang and the wind rustled the leaves, creating a peaceful atmosphere. Karath lay on the ground, his heart racing as he fought against the darkness closing in on him. Just moments before he had been ready to kill, but now he felt something completely different, a mixture of fear and confusion. Suddenly he heard a voice nearby. It was Alex, and he was talking to the predators. "Easy now, big fella," he said, his tone calm and soothing. "You know I'd never hurt you." Karath struggled to focus on the scene before him. Alex was kneeling, surrounded by massive creatures that should have been terrifying. Instead, they looked relaxed and happy. Karath blinked hard, trying to clear his vision. He could see the human moving among the apex predators as if they were friends. One of the beasts, a giant with fur like fire and eyes like molten gold, leaned against Alex, who laughed softly. The sound was warm and inviting, completely opposite to what Karath had been taught about humans. Karath's heart began to calm, but he still felt weak. He realized that the blaster he had dropped was still within reach, but instead of grabbing it, he felt an urge to understand what was happening. He had never seen a human interact with creatures like these. To him, Alex looked like a hero, a warrior who tamed monsters rather than a victim. As Karath lay hidden behind a thick bush, he watched Alex scratch the chin of one of the predators. The creature leaned into the touch, eyes half closed in bliss. "You're such a good boy," Alex cooed, his voice filled with affection. Karath felt a strange warmth spreading through him. This human was not afraid. He was the one in control. The idea was astonishing. How could he be so brave? Karath shifted slightly, trying to find a more comfortable position. He felt the pain in his chest fade, replaced by a growing sense of curiosity. Was it true that humans were just as fierce as the predators they faced? Karath had always been taught that humans were weak, but now he wondered if that was a lie told by his own kind. Suddenly, one of the predators, a massive feline with sharp teeth, pranced over to Alex, playfully nudging him with its head. Alex laughed, pushing back against the creature. "Hey, stop it! You're too much!" The joy in his voice was infectious, and Karath felt himself smiling despite his situation. As Karath watched, something shifted within him. Instead of seeing Alex as a target, he began to see him as a person, a being with thoughts and feelings. Karath couldn't help but admire how the human handled the dangerous creatures with such confidence and love. It was as if he could see a different world through Alex's eyes, one where humans and predators could live in harmony. Karath's resolve to kill Alex began to crumble. He thought about what would happen if he succeeded. Would he be celebrated by his people, or would he only feel emptiness inside? The more he watched Alex, the more he felt that the human had something valuable, something worth protecting rather than destroying. At that moment, Karath made a decision. He would not harm Alex. Instead, he wanted to learn from him. Maybe he could even help the human in some way. The world of Zarnax was filled with fear and hatred, but here, in this vibrant forest, there was a chance for understanding and peace. Just as Karath began to crawl out from his hiding place, he felt a surge of energy. The predators around Alex turned their gaze towards him. For a moment, Karath froze. Would they see him as a threat? But to his surprise, they did not growl or attack. Instead, they merely tilted their heads, curious about the new arrival. Karath took a deep breath and stepped into the clearing, ready to face whatever would come next. He was no longer an assassin. He was a seeker of truth, drawn into a world that promised to change everything he believed about humans and their connection to the universe. Karath took a deep breath as he stepped into the clearing where Alex was still surrounded by the massive predators. The sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a warm glow on everything. The vibrant colors of the forest filled Karath's vision, and for the first time he felt a sense of peace wash over him. The fear that had once gripped him began to fade as he approached. Alex looked up, his eyes widening with surprise. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice steady but curious. He did not seem afraid, even with Karath's dark armor and the blaster that hung loosely at his side. I am Karath," the alien said, his voice a bit shaky. "I was sent to—" He hesitated, remembering his mission. How could he explain that he had come to kill him? Instead, he continued, "I was sent to find you." The predators shifted, their eyes fixed on Karath. The giant feline stepped forward, its muscles rippling under its thick fur. Karath felt his heart race again, but not out of fear. There was something strange about being in the presence of these creatures. They didn't seem to see him as a threat, which was both reassuring and unnerving. Alex slowly rose to his feet, brushing off the dirt from his clothes. "You're the assassin, aren't you?" he said, a hint of understanding in his voice. "You came to kill me!" It was a statement, not a question. Karath nodded slowly, the weight of his mission pressing down on him. "Yes, but things are not as they seem. He faltered, searching for the right words. "I couldn't do it. Not after seeing you with these creatures." Alex's expression softened. "You mean you're not here to hurt me?" His voice held a mix of surprise and relief. Karath took a step closer, his eyes locking with Alex's. "I don't understand how you can be so calm. These beasts could tear you apart, yet you treat them like friends. Why?" A smile spread across Alex's face. "Because they are my friends. They don't want to hurt me. They just want to be understood." He gestured to the giant predator beside him. "This is Blaze. He's protective, but he's also playful. If you treat them with kindness, they will respond in kind." Karath's mind raced. He had always been told that predators were dangerous and needed to be controlled or eliminated. But here was Alex showing him a different way. Could it be true? Could kindness be stronger than fear? Just then, Blaze stepped forward, sniffing the air. Karath tensed, unsure of what to expect. The creature seemed to sense his anxiety and took a cautious step back. Alex placed a hand on Blaze's massive head. "It's okay, boy," he said soothingly. "He's not a threat." Karath watched in awe as Blaze relaxed, leaning into Alex's touch. The sight was both terrifying and beautiful. How could a human control such a powerful creature? He felt a sudden urge to understand this bond more deeply. Suddenly, Alex took a step closer to Karath, looking him in the eyes. "You came here with a mission to kill, but maybe you're here for something more." His voice was steady, filled with conviction. "What if you could learn from us instead? What if you could change?" The words hit Karath like a bolt of lightning. Change? It was not something he had considered. His entire life had been about following orders, about being a killer. But now, standing before Alex, he felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps he could leave that life behind. Before Karath could respond, another predator, a sleek, dark creature with glistening scales, stepped forward, making a low growl. Karath flinched, but Alex remained calm. "That's just Shadow," he said. "He can be a bit intimidating, but he's friendly." Karath was amazed. How could Alex stand so confidently among these creatures? Each one was capable of incredible violence, yet here they were, at peace. It dawned on him that Alex's strength did not come from his ability to fight, but from his capacity to love and understand. In that moment, Karath felt a wave of determination wash over him. He had come here as an assassin, but now he wanted to learn to grow and to change. "I want to understand," he finally said, his voice steady. "Teach me!" Alex's eyes lit up with hope. "I will," he replied, extending a hand toward Karath. "But you have to promise me one thing. You'll let go of your old life. You must choose kindness over fear." Karath looked at the hand extended towards him, a symbol of trust and new beginnings. He took a deep breath, ready to embrace the unexpected path that lay ahead. As Karath stood in the clearing, the weight of Alex's words settled on his shoulders. He had come to this planet as an assassin, trained to see humans as mere targets. But now, standing before Alex, he saw something different, a chance to change, to learn, and to grow. With a mixture of hope and uncertainty, Karath extended his hand toward Alex. The human smiled brightly and grasped Karath's arm firmly. "Welcome," Alex said, his voice warm. "This is just the beginning." The moment felt surreal to Karath. He had always been taught that humans were unpredictable and weak, but here he was, shaking hands with one who was strong enough to earn the trust of apex predators. The giant beasts watched with curious eyes, their massive forms relaxed and at ease. "Let's take a walk," Alex suggested, leading Karath deeper into the forest. As they moved, Karath noticed how Alex spoke to the predators, giving them names and sharing stories of their adventures together. "This is Luna," he said, pointing to a sleek silver creature that was following closely behind. "She loves to chase butterflies." Karath watched in awe as Luna playfully darted around, leaping and bounding with grace. The sight filled him with joy. He realized that the bond between Alex and the creatures was something beautiful. It was based on trust and understanding, not fear. As they walked, Alex began to share more about himself. "I grew up on Earth, a planet far from here. I always felt a connection to animals, especially the wild ones. They can teach us so much if we're willing to listen." Karath listened closely, intrigued. He had always believed that only the strong survived, but Alex's words challenged that idea. "You think animals can teach us?" Karath asked, curious. "Absolutely," Alex replied with enthusiasm. "They show us about loyalty, bravery, and love. I've learned to be patient and kind from them, and that's how I've gained their trust." Karath nodded slowly. "In my world, we're taught to dominate and control. We see kindness as weakness. Kindness is strength," Alex insisted. "It takes real courage to show compassion, especially to those who might hurt us." As they spoke, Karath began to feel a shift within himself. The fear and anger he had always known were slowly being replaced by a desire for understanding and connection. The gentle touch of a human was awakening something deep inside him, a longing to break free from the cycle of violence that had defined his life. Suddenly, they reached a small clearing where a shimmering stream flowed. The sunlight danced on the water, creating a magical atmosphere. Alex knelt beside the stream and dipped his fingers in the cool water. "Come on, it's refreshing," he called to Karath. Karath hesitated at first. He was used to being serious, always on guard, but something about Alex's playful spirit encouraged him to join. He stepped forward and knelt beside Alex, feeling the cool water splash against his skin. It felt good, a contrast to the tense life he had lived. "You know," Alex said, splashing some water at Karath, "this is what life is about, finding joy in simple moments." Karath laughed, the sound surprising even himself. He splashed water back at Alex, and they both erupted into laughter. In that moment, he felt a sense of freedom he had never experienced before. The weight of his mission, his past, began to lift. As they played, the predators gathered around, intrigued by the fun. Blaze approached, nudging Karath's shoulder with a large, warm head. Karath looked down at the creature, surprised at how comfortable he felt. "You want to join too?" he asked, a smile breaking across his face. With a gentle laugh, Alex said, "They love water just as much as we do." He scooped up some water and tossed it towards Blaze. The predator leapt back playfully, shaking its massive body. Karath's heart swelled with happiness. For the first time, Karath felt like he belonged. He was not just an assassin anymore, he was part of something bigger. With every splash, every laugh, and every shared moment with Alex and the creatures, he was discovering the power of connection, the human touch that could transform fear into friendship. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the forest, Karath knew he was on a new path. The bond he was forming with Alex and the predators would change everything. This was no longer just a mission. It was a chance to create a new life filled with understanding, kindness, and joy. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Karath sat beside Alex near the shimmering stream. The laughter from their earlier play faded into a comfortable silence. Karath gazed at the water, reflecting on the whirlwind of emotions he had felt since arriving on this strange planet. He had come to kill, but now he wanted to protect. "Tomorrow, I'll show you more of this place," Alex said, breaking the silence. "There's a hidden valley nearby with incredible creatures. You'll love it." Karath turned to Alex, a smile spreading across his face. "I would like that," he replied. The idea of exploring the world with Alex filled him with excitement. For the first time in his life, he was looking forward to a future instead of fearing it. The predators lounged around them, some splashing in the water while others curled up in the grass, their powerful forms relaxed and content. Karath watched as Blaze playfully pounced on a butterfly, his massive paws surprisingly gentle. The sight warmed Karath's heart. Here were creatures once thought to be terrifying, now living in harmony with a human. Alex noticed Karath's gaze and smiled. "They're amazing, aren't they? Each one has its own personality. Blaze is a big softy, but don't tell him I said that." Karath chuckled, feeling a lightness he had never experienced before. "It's hard to believe that I once thought of these creatures only as beasts," he admitted. "Now I see them as friends." As darkness enveloped the forest, the sounds of nature became more pronounced. The chirping of crickets, the rustle of leaves, and the distant call of night creatures. Alex began to gather some wood to build a small fire. Karath watched closely, curious about the human's every move. "Here, let me help," Karath offered, moving to gather some larger branches. With a few swift motions, he snapped them into smaller pieces and stacked them neatly. Alex's eyes widened with appreciation. "Wow, that's impressive," Alex said, clearly impressed by Karath's strength and skill. "You're a natural." Karath felt a rush of pride at the compliment. It felt good to be recognized for something other than being a killer. Together they built a cozy fire, its flickering light illuminating their faces. The warmth enveloped them, and Karath couldn't help but feel safe for the first time in a long while. As they sat around the fire, Alex began to share stories of his home, Earth. He described the landscapes, the vast oceans, the tall mountains, and the many animals that roamed freely. Karath listened intently, fascinated by the world Alex came from. It was so different from Zarnax, where fear ruled, and nature was often viewed as an enemy. "What's it like to live among such creatures?" Karath asked, genuinely curious. "Aren't you afraid?" Alex shook his head. "Fear can hold us back from experiencing life. Instead of fear, I choose to learn and understand. That's how I connect with them. Karath nodded slowly, absorbing the wisdom in Alex's words. He felt a deep longing to adopt that mindset, to see the world through a lens of curiosity rather than hostility. As the fire crackled, Karath felt a bond forming between him and Alex. They were two beings from different worlds, yet their experiences brought them closer together. "I want to learn more from you," Karath said, "about friendship, kindness, and these creatures." Alex smiled brightly, his eyes reflecting the firelight. "And I want to learn from you, too. You've seen things I can only imagine. Your journey can teach me about bravery and resilience." Just then, Luna, the sleek silver predator, approached Karath and nudged his arm. He looked down at her, feeling an overwhelming sense of warmth and affection. "You want to join us too, huh?" he asked, reaching down to scratch her head. She purred loudly, leaning into his touch, her eyes closing in contentment. In that moment, Karath felt a realization wash over him. He was no longer an assassin. He was part of something bigger. A wave of emotion surged through him as he understood that this new bond he was forming with Alex and the creatures around them was a powerful force for change. As the fire danced in the night, Karath made a silent vow to protect this newfound family. He had turned away from a life of darkness and embraced a path of light. The journey ahead would be filled with challenges, but with Alex by his side and the trust of the predators, he felt ready to face whatever came next. Together, they would explore the beauty of the world, each step forging a bond that would change not only their lives, but also the very fabric of their beliefs. In the heart of the forest, a new story began, one of friendship, trust, and the unbreakable ties that form when hearts open to each other.